hopefully the audio turns out good in this. Hey, Dylan. I just wanted to chat about Pirates of the Caribbean. I just finished watching I was listening to the 3 movies, the only 3 that count as good Pirates of the Caribbean content, in my opinion. Anyway, I listened to them at work over the last couple of days. For anyone watching who's curious why I would listen to the movies rather than watch them, I work long hours at a wood shop, but I'm allowed to have whatever going on in my headphones that I want. So while I'm working away at whatever piece I'm building at the time, I can have a movie or an audiobook or songs or a podcast or whatever. And today I listened to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Anyhow, back to my point though, Dallin. I wanted to get your thoughts on, should Jack Sparrow still have a debt to pay to Davy Jones by the end of by the third movie? Spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't watched these movies that have been out for 2 decades. But here we go. So, obviously you have Jack Sparrow. They mentioned Davy Jones' locker in the first Pirates of the Caribbean, but Davy Jones is not a character in there. Doesn't come into it until number 2. Then we're introduced near the very beginning to Bootstrap Bill Turner, and you can tell Jack, before Bootstrap shows up, Jack is spooked by something. Gibbs comments on that. Something's got Jack vexed. He is clearly aware that the time is running out on his debt that he needs to pay to Jones, and because he's Jack, he's a genius. He's trying to figure out his problems in his own way. And so he goes to find the key to know what it looks like so that he can start figuring out where the key is and where the chest is. And I'm of the opinion that it's because he's got so many things he has to find kind of simultaneously, that is why his compass is not working. Now, maybe I'm interpreting that wrong. I don't know. However, Bootstrap shows up, gives Jack the black spot, says time's run out and the Kraken is coming for you. And so Jack flees. He just races off to the island, which I heard in a video the other day. It's a quick side quest. I know that Pirates of the Caribbean video essays have been popping up on my YouTube feed a lot over the last week, which probably is why I got to wanting to watch it. So maybe there have been some subliminal messages going on. I don't know. Anyhow, be that as it may, somebody commented that whole island sequence is unnecessary, which I agree, but it was a fun little adventure. It does have nothing to do with Davy Jones. So back to the Davy Jones issue. He comes after Jack Sparrow because Jack Sparrow made a deal with him, bargained with the devil to raise the Black Pearl out of the ocean and make him captain. There is a deleted scene that I've seen from Pirates 3 where Beckett is looking out his cabin window at the Black Pearl, and he says, the last time I saw that ship, she was sinking into the ocean and she was ablaze. Something to that effect. And there's some allusions to Jack setting free a whole slave ship full of slaves. And that was what the Black Pearl was before. It was a slave smuggling ship. And Jack didn't like ferrying people, so he set them all free, got branded as a pirate. Some of those things are kind of some plot holes when you compare Jack's dad is a pirate and Jack. Anyway, I don't know all the deeper lore, so if somebody else does who's watching this, please feel free to enlighten me in the comments. I would be happy to know. But my whole point in this is his debt to Jones. His debt gets paid. Jones says, your debt to me is satisfied, or something along those lines, when the Kraken Jack Sparrow and the Black Pearl cleanly down into the ocean. Pulls it down. It's in the locker. Oh, I mean, it's been a long day. So he says, yep, your debt to me is squared. And he moves on. He's angry at him, obviously, because of Jack's actions, the heart is now in the wind somewhere, which then leads to the events of the third one, where Davy Jones is basically a pup on a leash. But the debt, as I understand it, had to do with the specific bargain Jack Sparrow made with Davy Jones to raise the Black Pearl out of the ocean and make him captain. That he would have it for the 13 years. That 13 years was going to elapse one way or another. Kind of like if you take out a loan, that loan, it's going to come due one way or another. Whether or not you use the money or the money gets stolen from you, you're still going to be on the hook to pay that back. So that's the situation with the Black Pearl. However, say somehow you die and that loan just gets cleared off because, hey, well, you're dead. If you miraculously come back to life, would that debt come back to you? Because I don't think it would. Once it's cleared off the books, it's off the books. And then you'd have to incur a new debt. It's like with bankruptcy. And again, if I'm misunderstanding these things, please somebody clarify. But if you file for bankruptcy, there are a few debts that won't clear away on there. But as I understand it, it wipes most of your debts away. Yes, it hurts your credit, but it wipes your debts away. There are other details in there, so don't take this as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and clearly I have quite a bit to learn about that, and there's nuance in there. Anyway, but Jack's debt was paid by him going down into the locker. Now, when in the third Pirates of the Caribbean, in the scene where they're parlaying on the little sandbar, Davy Jones says to Jack that he has a debt to pay 100 years for a start. Well, no one addresses that, no one contradicts him. Jack looks very worried, doesn't know what the heck he's going to do. However, I disagree with Davy Jones. That because Davy Jones did not raise the Black Pearl out of the ocean this time. The crew of the Black Pearl raised the Black Pearl out of the locker, and Jack with it. They went, and Davy Jones didn't allow them in. They just took the maps. They went in, collected Jack and the Pearl, and came back. So they sidestepped Davy Jones' involvement, at which point Jack wouldn't know anything for all of that. I mean, if anything, Barbossa would be the one to pay, or to now owe Jones a debt, given that it was Barbossa who led them into the locker and so enacted the rescuing of Jack Sparrow. Now, Dallin, if you have a different opinion, I'd be interested to hear it. Or anyone else in the comments, please feel free to share your thoughts. But I think, well, obviously the movie plays out and it's got its own problems, good things. I love watching that movie. I love the soundtrack. I just love everything about it. It's great. But I would acknowledge there would, if someone brings up valid plot holes, I'm open to hearing those because yes, I'm aware that they exist. I just am not articulating them here. This is just strictly about the whole debt issue and whether Jones was validated in trying to reinstate that debt, or if Jones was in the wrong there and should have been corrected. Now, I'm not finding that as a plot hole. I'm finding that as a character flaw, which is a very different thing. It works perfectly with the plot, but I think, like I said, if I'm getting too repetitious, I apologize. I'm not going on script. I'm just talking as I drive. So sometimes I have to talk through things a couple of times to really make sure I get the thought out. Otherwise, I end up completely forgetting something. Anyhow, yeah, Dallin, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.